Hi everyone, today we're doing the still life demo, and that is my setup. I have a lamp as my direct light source and my light box set up, and I have 6 objects in there. Remember, you need to have at least 5. And here's the origami option. We have the directions for you on this pink half sheet, but I just thought I would go through it in case you haven't made an origami crane before. So you're going to fold it in half along the diagonal, and you can just follow along with me. If you already know how to do this or you don't want to do the origami, you can skip past this step. And then I fold it along the diagonal again, and I'm really making sure those corners are meeting and getting a good crease on that. And you can see my old popcorn tub that I'm propping my phone up on. And then I'm folding it in half along the horizontal line, or I guess I don't really know if you can have hamburger hot dog folds when it's a square piece of paper, but I'm folding it in half that way too. So you're basically folding this in half every direction. So when you're done, you should have 4 crosses in half. So it should look something like this. And I'm keeping my paper with one of the points side up. And now I'm going to fold it in on itself. So I'm creasing along one of those middle lines and folding it like that, bringing those 2 corners in, and then pushing it down. So I'm ending up with a smaller square that kind of looks maybe like a diamond shape. That's kind of what it looks like. You're just taking those side corners and folding them down. So all of your corners should be pointing down with an open end at the bottom. And now I'm folding in just that top flap to the center line and kind of just lining that up with that creased center line, and then I unfold. A lot of origami is just creating creases and unfolding and refolding. So I have that, and now I'm going to fold the top down on that straight line. All right. And now I'm going to open that up along that straight line at the top that I just created, and I'm going to fold in along those other creases that I made. So it's kind of like I'm opening up a mouth, like a bird's mouth, I guess. And I'm sure there are better tutorial videos online than mine, but I wanted to include this because it's an option. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm folding those tabs in so they meet the crease there. And this one, it didn't line up quite as nicely. I'm trying to make my folds as careful as possible. You have 2 sheets of this plain white printer paper cut into a square for you to try this. So if you make a mistake on your first one, you can try it again. And there, I'm kind of just pushing them in and folding the creases, opening that flap up again. So now it kind of looks like a diamond on either side. And now I'm just kind of showing you both sides just to see what it looks like. And now I'm folding that corner in so that vertical line lines up with the center line. It's getting pretty skinny now. And I'm doing the same thing to the other side. Origami can get a little repetitive. So now I have a very pointy kind of diamond shape. And I'm doing kind of the wrong thing there. You actually want, now you're going to be making the tail and the neck and head of your crane, and you want it to come up in the middle of those folds, in that section. But if you want to create something else out of origami, you can do that for your still life too. I'm trying to show it from the top view to show how I'm folding those up, and I'm a little out of frame. Sorry, guys. I'm completely out of the frame. The directions on that half sheet are pretty good. I was kind of following along with those, and so it's in between those folds that I'm folding the neck and tail, and then you kind of pinch the one side to make it the head, and then you can pull the wings apart and fold them down. There's a little bit of a better view. This is probably the worst origami tutorial you'll ever watch, but I wanted to show myself doing this. All right, and I'm kind of pulling the wings apart. Just like that. And there's my crane. It looks decent. So you can give this a try if you want. All right, and now we're moving back to the still life setup. And you're gonna start by getting out your square piece of gray drawing paper. That should be in your kit. And we're gonna start by adding our 1/2 inch border. So I'm just marking it all around every edge and drawing that border. Once you have your border in there, it's time to start blocking in your shapes and values. So I'm going in with my 2H, and I'm just starting to lightly draw in where I see some of those shapes, but we don't want outlines. You want to build your forms with value. So I'm starting to lightly shade. As you continue drawing, you might find that things are in different places. You can use your pencil as a sighting stick to kind of see your angles. You also have a skewer that you can use as a sighting stick that we talk about in class. And I'm just putting in those values. And you might find that you need to adjust some things because it's all about the relationship. Darks next to lights and where the edges of different forms meet. And just really work to build up your values carefully. We don't want pencil marks to show. And then you're just gonna keep shading and make sure you have your darkest areas dark. Squint if you need to look at where the value is. And that's my final drawing. So I really took some extra time. I didn't have you watch my entire time lapse, but I took some time to build up those values and make sure this was as accurate as possible. And the thing I was really focusing on was not having outlines, really making my form with value. And that should be your goal too. This took me about an hour to draw. So just keep that in mind when you're blocking out the time you want to take to sit down and do this drawing. And it doesn't have to be all in one sitting.